My name is Clara, and I turned 31 the night my entire life was ripped apart over dinner. I had just come off a 12-hour shift at the hospital. My hair still smelled faintly of antiseptic. And the only makeup I wore was the faded lip balm I applied in the elevator, but I didn't care. Tonight was supposed to be special, my birthday dinner at my in-laws' place. A tradition. I pulled into the driveway, exhausted but relieved. My husband, Mark, had sent a text earlier. "Everyone's here. Can't wait to celebrate you." That small message had kept me going through a rougher trauma case. I walked in smiling. His mom greeted me first. "There she is," she sang, already reaching into her purse. "We got you something life-changing." She handed me a neatly wrapped envelope, gold ribbon. Oh. The room hushed. Mark stood across the room, hands in his pockets, not making eye contact. I opened it, still grinning. What I pulled out stopped the air in my lungs. Divorce papers, pre-filled, my name typed cleanly across the top. No explanation, no context, just my husband's signature at the bottom. I looked up, expecting a joke. Some kind of awful prank, but the silence was real. My sister-in-law coughed awkwardly. Someone dropped a fork. Mark finally looked at me. His eyes didn't say sorry, they said nothing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand why, but my body just froze. His mother smiled wider. "It's what he really wants, dear. Better now than dragging things out, don't you think?" She sipped her wine like we were discussing weather, not obliterating a marriage. I was surrounded by people who watched me wipe blood from strangers' faces daily. People who hugged me at holidays and thanked me for taking care of their Mark. People who now looked away like I was already gone. I didn't say a word. I set the papers on the table as neatly as they had been wrapped. Then I sat down. I didn't run, or cry, or plead. I swallowed the betrayal like bad medicine. Let them think I was broken. Because I wasn single quotes T. Not yet. The room eventually returned to its shallow chatter. Glasses clinked. Silverware scraped. I sat there in the same chair I'd occupied for birthdays, anniversaries, even the Thanksgiving Mark and I hosted after his job promotion. Now, the seat felt like a trapdoor. When dinner was served, I waited for my plate. One by one, everyone was handed food: roasted chicken, potatoes with rosemary, herbed green beans. Mark's mother had gone all out. I noticed her eyeing me. She walked past with a full plate, paused behind me, then continued without setting anything down. I looked at the empty place in front of me. "Excuse me," I began. She turned. Her lips pursed like she was barely tolerating a question. "This is for family only now," she said, voice cool and rehearsed. The words hit harder than the divorce papers. No one said a word. Not Mark, not his father, not even his younger brother, who once confided in me about his anxiety attacks. Just silence, broken only by chewing. I could feel the heat rise up my neck. The sting behind my eyes, not from hunger, from humiliation, from how deliberately she said it, from how I was erased in plain sight. I pushed back from the table slowly, not dramatically. I wouldn't give them that, but deliberately. I stood and left the dining room without a word. In the bathroom, I stared at my reflection. My lipstick was gone. My eyes were dull. I looked like someone who had no place left to belong. I turned the faucet on just to drown out the sound of their laughter, because it was still going. They were still eating, still celebrating. The woman they'd watched support Mark through debt, career changes, his father's stroke, now disposable. I dried my hands, took a deep breath, and stepped back into the hallway. Mark caught my eye for the first time all evening. He didn't move, didn't call out. Just watched me like I was a problem that had already been solved. That's when something inside me started to shift. Not a breakdown, something colder. Something calculating. I sat back down, still without a plate. And I smiled, because they thought this was the end. They had no idea who they just turned their backs on. The next day, I still woke early. Habit. My body was used to hospital rotations. And sleep rarely stayed long these days. The house was quiet. When I came downstairs, Mark's family had gathered again. A brunch, apparently. His sister's kids were running around the backyard while the adults sipped mimosas like yesterday hadn't happened, like I didn't exist. I stood at the sliding door, half hidden behind the curtain, watching him, Mark, laughing, relaxed, like a man already free. Then I heard it. "She's not going to last much longer." He joked to his cousin, loud enough for the table to hear. "You know Clara, always too proud to quit, but too soft to fight." Laughter. That was the moment I felt it. The cut that finally drew blood. I didn't cry. I didn't storm outside. I went back upstairs and pulled out my laptop. That afternoon, while they ate smoked salmon and shared baby pictures, I began collecting. Every receipt, every bank statement, every screenshot, every calendar entry that showed how many shifts I picked up while Mark went back to school, the time I co-signed the lease on the new car, the vacation I paid for entirely, the hospital bills I handled for his father while Mark couldn't deal with it. I found emails he'd written, thanking me for saving our asses again. I found texts where he called me the glue, the backbone, the reason we survived last year. Funny how people forget when it's no longer convenient. And then, something that made my stomach turn, a PDF file with detailed bullet points about me, my habits, my schedule, my income, information I never shared. It had been sent from Mark's mother's email to his. Attached to it, the draft version of the divorce papers. They had planned this. Together. Every bit of warmth I once felt for them turned to stone. No more tears. No more confusion. No more waiting for someone to stand up for me. I began organizing the folder, creating categories, building a timeline. If they wanted a divorce, fine, but it would be on my terms. They wanted to treat me like I was invisible. Let them watch how loud I get when I finally speak. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because of sadness. That phase had passed. I was wired, focused, alive in a way I hadn't felt in months. I sat cross-legged on the guest bed, a laptop in front of me, papers spread like a war map, receipts, emails, photos, pay stubs. I had built more than a marriage. I had built a damn case file. At 1:43 a.m., there was a knock on the door. I didn't answer right away, but the knock came again, softer. It was his mother. She didn't bother with greetings. She stepped inside like she owned the room and held out a pen. I think it's time you sign those papers, she said. For everyone's sake, it's best to be graceful about these things. She didn't notice the file open on my laptop behind her, but I did. I asked calmly, why does the paperwork include my retirement account balance? She blinked. Excuse me, you emailed it to Mark. You included details I never told anyone, not even him. Her face faltered. Just for a second, you were spying on me. She tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. We were preparing. That's all. You're emotional right now. I stood up. Not yelling, just tall. No, I was emotional yesterday. Now I'm something else. She stepped back. You should be grateful we're handling this with dignity. I wanted to laugh, but I didn't. You've never seen what my dignity looks like, I said, but you will. After she left, I emailed every file to myself and to a trusted friend at the hospital. Redundancy, evidence, protection. By morning, I had made an appointment with a lawyer a colleague recommended. I told her everything. I showed her everything. She didn't blink. She said, you've done half my job for me for the first time in days. I smiled. Not because I was happy. Because I knew the woman they tried to erase was going to be the one they'd never forget.